Hey everyone, Steve Flanders. This time I'm going to talk to you about vROI, or vRealize Operations Insight. First, some quick introductions. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Steve Flanders. I lead Log Insight's customer-oriented R&D group, and I serve as a subject matter expert on Log Insight. If you'd like to learn more about me, take a look at my Twitter, smflanders, or my blog, sflanders.net. I do cover a variety of information about Log Insights. But today I'm going to be talking about vRealize Operations Insight. What is that? Well, it's a combination of vRealize Operations Manager Advanced and vRealize Log Insight, two products offered underneath the vRealize suite of VMware today. What's the difference between the two? Well, vROps really handles the structured data in your data center. Think performance, metrics, capacity planning, things like that. Log Insight handles the unstructured data in your data center. So think log messages, troubleshooting, root cause analysis, things like that. But together, these two products actually integrate very tightly, and they complement one another, providing you all the visibility you need to manage your virtual infrastructure, your physical infrastructure, your hybrid cloud, your SDDC, no matter what it is. So what do each of these products do? Let's take a quick look at that first. Well, if we look at vRealize Operations Manager, or I might refer to as vROps, it allows you to really troubleshoot across an application or across an environment. So for example here, we might be looking at different badges, green being good, red being bad. It's a way to pinpoint issues in my environment. And of course I can drill down into these red issues and try to figure out what's going on. So for example, maybe I have some storage issues. And if I drill down further, I can see exactly why this badge is red, what that red actually means, and then drill down further to figure out through different analytics packs where in my storage array I might be having a problem, and finally determining that what I'm seeing is abnormal. vROps can actually do dynamic thresholding. It learns your environment, it realizes what is good and what is bad through what is normal, and then it can tell you when something has changed, which is a good indication of a problem within your environment. Now, Log Insight, that's really your last mile root cause analysis and troubleshooting. So again, we have log messages coming into the system. They'll tell you about errors, faults, warnings, things like that. And you can search for a variety of problems, vMotion, storage, SCSI latency, network. All of this is available in your log messages today. Log Insight allows you to query through these. It provides very interactive dashboards where you can drill down and figure out exactly where your problem is. It also has alert capabilities built in to notify you about issues. And I'll talk about how these two products actually integrate to provide even additional value adds. So at the end of the day, I actually really like this marketing slide from VMware, but the images do justice to the products. Log Insight really is that microscope. It'll give you that laser focus and find the exact problem where it is in your environment. And vROps is the broad performance analytics engine where you can see where issues are, drill down further to figure out where in your environment you're seeing that problem. But together you get a full 360-degree view of your environment, no matter what it is, how big, how small, how complicated. Now, what are the products like? I mean, it's easy to talk about them and show quick demos, but I really want to provide an analogy of something that you'll hopefully be able to relate to. So let's start with like a car dashboard here. We have the speedometer, the RPMs. There's a whole bunch of information happening here. Think of this like the vROps dashboard. There's tons of information being displayed to you, but you need to figure out what is good and what is bad. Like I'm doing over 200 kilometers an hour. Is that good or is that bad? Well, it might be good in my environment, it might be bad in your environment. So what does that number actually mean? It's 22 degrees Celsius outside. Is that too hot? Is that too cold? Again, it's environment specific. Now there are certain good indications like RPMs. You'll see as we get around 7 to 8, that starts turning red. Usually in most environments that indicates a problem. But again, it can be environment specific. So let's drill down a little bit further. At vROps, same idea here. We have the dashboard, we can see green things being good, orange, yellow, red things being bad and what those differences are. But now we need to drill down. We need to take the next step into the environment to figure out what is exactly happening. So I mentioned RPMs. The red is a good indication of a problem. But it might just so happen to turn out that in your environment, running between 7 and 8 is okay. Again, vROps can discover this. By default, it might say, hey, this is bad. But over time, through the dynamic thresholding and dynamic learning, it can determine what is normal for your environment, and of course you can configure it as well to notify it of things that you care about. Now, you might see something like a check engine light, or maybe some sort of red exclamation point. I don't really know what that means, but it's telling me that there's definitely a problem. The dashboard of my car is very interactive. It wants me to know that, hey, I really need to take a look at something. Unfortunately, check engine doesn't tell me much. Is it really the engine? Is it some other component? What specific thing is wrong? Why are you telling me to check the engine? So this is part of the drill down process. Sure, we can see our speed, we can see the RPMs. Now we can see clearly that there's definitely some sort of problem going on, but we need to drill deeper. We need more specific information about what does check engine mean. Now, depending on the car make and model that you're running, you may have additional lights, things that are more specific. Check engine, pretty generic. Battery, I know what a battery is. Oil, I know what oil is. So this helps me drill down even further. Again, vROps and Log Insight, they provide this capability. They're telling you where to look in your environment, and then they can help you figure out exactly what is causing that problem. Then the final one, this is from a Chevy car. Service tire monitor system. I now know exactly where the problem is. There's something wrong with my tire sensor. It's not that it has low pressure, it's not that I need to fill it up, it's that the sensor that's monitoring that tire is having issues. I can now go to the dealership, I know exactly what to tell them, and they know exactly where to look for the problem. Of course, it would be really nice if it said service tire monitor system on the right rear tire to be exactly pinpoint laser focused. That is what Log Insight and vROps allow you to do. They'll provide that extra bit of information so even you know exactly where the problem is in case you can fix it yourself or if you need to escalate to someone else to get assistance. So here's Log Insight, again, that laser focus I was talking about. We're looking at the vSphere content pack that ships with Log Insight by default, and we're looking at the problems dashboard. This clearly tells me if there are issues in my environment and what that issue is. So for example here, you can see that I have duplicate IP addresses on my ESXi hosts. Duplicate IP addresses are bad. Now I can click this and actually launch an interactive analytics, and it'll tell me exactly which hosts have the duplicate IP addresses. Now I know where to focus my efforts, I know what teams to get involved, and I can resolve the problem quickly and easily, hopefully before others discover it. So again, laser focus through both vROps and Log Insight. Now, how do you integrate the two products? They're great standalone, they provide information about structured and unstructured, but together they really give you that 360 view that I was talking about. So how do you bring them together? Well, that's done through Log Insight. Through the administration UI, we have an integration for vRealize operations. You tell Log Insight where vROps is and provide some credentials, and then we have some different integration options available. One of those is alerts, another is this launching context. I'll walk through all of this in just 1 second. On the vROps side, if you're running vROps 6 or newer, which I really hope you are, some great features in the 6.0 suite, we have a management pack for Log Insight. You will need to install that management pack to get launch and context capabilities, which I'll show in just a second. I don't actually have a screenshot for it because it's just a pack file install. There is no configuration. Just installing the pack file is sufficient. I will make note that there is a pack file included with the vROps download, and there's an updated one in Solution Exchange. So make sure you look at Solution Exchange to get the latest version. Now, why would you want to integrate them? Well, I mentioned alert integration. What is that? Well, I told you that Log Insight can query for logs, and it can also alert on them. Well, it can send an alert, a notification to vROps to let vROps know that something is wrong. vROps can become your single pane of glass. It knows about all the structured data, but it doesn't know anything about the unstructured. Log Insight can provide that missing piece. Now, when you do this integration, you actually specify a resource that you want to map it against. This is really a failback resource. This says if Log Insight's unable to map it automatically to a vROps object, we'll default back to this selected one. In my case, it's a vCenter server instance. But the integration between the two products is actually very feature rich. Let's say I run a query for searching for a specific type of error on my hypervisors. If I do this in Log Insight and I group by the hostname field, which would be the hostname of the hypervisor, and I configure that alert, then when the alert triggers, Log Insight will automatically map that alert to the actual host objects in vROps because they talk to each other. Now, if I can't find that host object in there, I'll default back to this vCenter server instance. But there is very intelligent alert matching available today between the two products. Next is this launching context I've mentioned a couple times. If you install the management pack into vROps for Log Insight, then you have the ability of drilling down to an object. So in this case, I'm on a hypervisor, ESX03.matrix. and I'm looking at it. In this case, it's healthy. Maybe it's unhealthy. Maybe I want to drill down and see the logs for it. From the actions drop-down, I can go ahead and launch right back into Log Insight, and that query will be laser focused just on that object. I will only see logs from the hypervisor in this case. It could be a virtual machine or some other object in Log Insight. And now I can start doing my troubleshooting and root cause analysis. Now, of course, from the Log Insight side, we can also launch in context back into vROps. Maybe I'm troubleshooting my logs, and I'm like, well, I really need to know all the performance and metrics and trending information that I'm seeing on the vROps side. So from any log event within Log Insight, there's this menu button on the left-hand side, and one of the options is to analyze the logs in vROps. So now, again, laser focused from the actual log message, the host, the object that is generating this event, we will launch into vROps and we'll see the events for that particular object within vROps. Another missing piece of information with log messages today is where is the log message being generated from? Let's take a Linux VM as an example. I'm running a Linux VM. Maybe the Linux OS knows it's virtual, maybe it doesn't. But even if it does know it's virtual, it really doesn't know where it is in the environment. What host is it on? What cluster? What data center? What vCenter server? The log message itself isn't going to tell you that. It's going to say, hey, kernel problem, right? But it doesn't tell you where in the environment that kernel problem is occurring. But vROps knows where all the objects are. It knows where that Linux VM resides because it's monitoring vSphere. Well, vROps can actually tell Log Insight about this. We call it inventory mapping. Basically, as an event comes in, we can map it with where exactly it was in the environment when that log message was generated. We go ahead and we tag the host, the cluster, the data center, the vCenter. You'll see these hyperlinks below the actual log message. I had the vROps op ID highlighted here, but there are other tags available, VMW_host, VMW_cluster. This is metadata. It's not in the actual log message. It's additional knowledge, it's additional insight that we're providing to the log message for you. And now I can group by this. I can just look for errors in a particular host. So not only can I answer the question, which hosts are throwing kernel errors, I can tell you where in the environment all those kernel errors are happening from. Again, laser focus, pinpoint accuracy. Now you can get the right people involved to solve the problem in the environment. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out some of the capabilities, some of the insight that you need. That's actually content. And we have a very rich partner ecosystem available for both vROps and Log Insight. On VMware Solution Exchange, you'll find a variety of management packs for vRealize operations and a bunch of content packs for vRealize Log Insight. These really help you find the needle in the haystack, if you will. They come pre-built with dashboards and extracted fields and alerts, remediations, problems, symptoms, everything you need to get going. So you don't need to just collect all this data and then try to figure out what is right and what is wrong. The experts in the field, those that are generating these events, have actually gone ahead and built this content that you can readily import and get insight out. Now, if you need additional insight, if you have a custom environment, if you have a custom application, you, of course, can write the content that you need as well, or you can enhance the existing content. So we strongly encourage you to take a look at these solutions that are available to you. In the case of Log Insight, there's actually an in-product marketplace where you can download them natively within the UI. In the case of vROps, they're all on Solution Exchange and you can install them. Again, the goal is to make this quick and easy for you. You're going to see us enhancing these, both coming out with new ones as well as leveraging the latest and greatest features, and also taking your feedback. There's things you want to see, we want to hear that, so we're providing the content out of the box for you, the faults that you care about, the alerts that you want, and the possible remediation steps that will solve the problems in your environment. And that's vRealize Operations Insight. Thank you.